I have always thought that our town is a time capsule. Nothing changes here. The same streets, the same faces, the same conversations. But one day, everything changed. I met him, Jake. It was in the summer, when I was working at the Golden Leaf coffee shop. He walked through the door with the sun's rays embracing him, as if he were part of the light. He was tall, with a carefree smile, and eyes that resembled the ocean, deep and unpredictable. He ordered a cappuccino, and I spilled it because my hands were shaking. We got to talking. It turned out that he had moved from Chicago because of his parents' divorce. "You're the first person who doesn't look at me with pity," he said. I felt something pierce me through and through. We started dating. He showed me places that seemed to be waiting for us. An old railroad bridge, where we wrote our names on the rusty rails. A forest glade where fireflies glowed at night. An abandoned church where he said, "You are my prayer." I had never felt so alive. But then, something went wrong. His disappearances began 3 months later. At first, he simply forgot to respond to messages. Then there were urgent matters, work, family problems. Once we were supposed to go to a concert, but he didn't show up. I waited in the rain for an hour, and then I saw him on Instagram. He was in a bar with friends. It was an accident, I convinced myself. But my friend Lisa said, I saw him with a girl. They were holding hands." I laughed. "That's Sarah, his sister." Lisa shook her head. "He doesn't have a sister." That night I asked him directly, "Do you not love me anymore?" He answered with a kiss that was as cold as a winter wind. "You are imagining things," he whispered. But his eyes were darting around as if looking for a way out. I decided to surprise him. I bought tickets to a festival where his favorite band was going to play. I came to his house. The door was open. My heart was pounding as I walked through the empty rooms. Then, I heard laughter from the garden. They were sitting on a hammock, Jake and Sarah. My Sarah, my best friend since childhood. He was stroking her hair, and she was laughing. The kind of laugh that cradled me after every failure. "How could you?" I wanted to scream, but an invisible fist clenched my throat. I ran away. The next day, he sent a message. "It's not what you think." But the photo from their joint post on social media with the caption "Love at First Sight" spoke for itself. I didn't leave my room for a week. My mom would bring soup that would freeze on the table. Sarah pleaded, "Em, he was chasing me." But her voice sounded like a knife scraping against glass. One night, I cut out all the pages about him from my diary and burned them in a fire. The flames devoured the words, "He is my world. I will never let go," he promised. There were only ashes and emptiness. And then came the letter. From Jake. "You were always too perfect. I couldn't breathe," he wrote. I tore the letter into small pieces. They fell like snow that melts without touching the ground. Lisa burst into my room with chips and hair dye. "Let's paint your life in new colors," she said. We made my hair blue, like the sky after the rain. Then we went to the river, where we sang songs from an old radio program. My friend Dennis, who was always quiet, said, "He was never worth your tears." And I realized that they were there, even when I couldn't see them. We organized a funeral for the past. We burned his t-shirt, buried our photos together under an oak tree, and drank cocoa and marshmallows. I was laughing, for the first time in 100 years. He came up to me in the library. He was wearing the same perfume. "Emily, Let's talk. I looked at him as if for the first time. Why did his eyes seem so small now? You didn't cheat on me, I said. You cheated on yourself, because I know that you will never be able to love the way I did. He wanted to say something, but I walked away without looking back. I felt the heavy shackles disintegrating around my ankles. Ain't worried. I started a blog. I called it Life After the Fall. I wrote about how to make tiramisu without coffee, how to dance in the rain, and how to survive a betrayal. People wrote, "You saved me." Then I hitchhiked to New York. I met a guy who was painting graffiti on the walls. "Love is colors," he said, and I replied, "And outlines." Without them, everything blurs. I returned home with a lot of impressions and a new rule: never forgive those who betray your trust. Jetin. Now I am standing on the very bridge where we once wrote our names. The rain has washed them away, leaving only rust. I took out a can of paint. I wrote, "Emily, free." My story is not about betrayal. It's about how I found myself in the wreckage of someone else's promises. Sometimes I think about him, but now it's just a thought. No pain, no anger. It's like a butterfly flying by that I once wanted to catch, but now I just watch it disappear in the sunlight. Life goes on, and it is incredible